The room was a black void, save for the stuttering flicker of a single bulb swinging from a frayed cord. Dust motes danced in the weak light, settling on a rusty folding chair in the center of the concrete floor. A girl, maybe 20, sat there, her wrists bound with coarse rope, her eyes wide and glistening with terror. Her breaths came in shallow gasps, each one slicing the suffocating silence. On a rickety table 3 feet away, an old Polaroid camera whirred to life, its mechanical roar echoing like a death knell. A photo slid out, landing in the dirt with a soft thud. The girl's gaze darted to it, her chest heaving. The photo showed her same chair, same ropes, same fear-drenched eyes. But in the corner of the frame, a shadow loomed, tall and angular, with a hand outstretched, fingers curled like claws. Footsteps thudded down a staircase, heavy and deliberate. A man's voice, low and cold as a winter grave, cut through the dark. "You shouldn't have looked at that." The girl opened her mouth to scream, but the bulb exploded, plunging the room into darkness. Harper Quinn jolted awake, her heart hammering like a jackhammer against her ribs. Sweat plastered her tank top to her skin, and her breaths came in ragged bursts. She was in her apartment, sprawled on the sagging couch in her 600 square foot rental in Phoenix's old Encanto district. The AC hummed, pushing out lukewarm air that did little to cut the 85 degrees Fahrenheit heat clinging to the room. Her phone, an iPhone 13 with a cracked screen, glowed on the coffee table, 2:47 a.m., the 15th of June, 2025. "Jesus," she muttered, rubbing her eyes. The dream nightmare really felt too real, like a memory she didn't own. The girl, the ropes, that damn camera. She shook her head, trying to dislodge the image, but it stuck like gum on a hot sidewalk. Her gaze landed on the kitchen table, where a Polaroid land camera, model 210, sat like a relic from another era. She'd snagged it yesterday at an estate sale in Glendale, a dusty lot packed with sun-bleached furniture and chipped dishware. The camera was a steal at $10, its leather strap worn smooth, its lens fogged with age. But what hooked her was the film cartridge inside, still sealed, with a strip of yellowed tape across it. Scrawled in faded ink were the words, "Do not develop. Property of 142 Sycamore." Harper wasn't one for superstitions, but something about that tape sent a chill down her spine, even in the desert heat. She was a freelance photographer, 32, with a knack for finding stories in forgotten things: sold buildings, rusted cars, faces and dive bars. Her Canon EOS R6 paid the bills, but her real love was analog, the kind of cameras that clicked and whirred like they had souls. This Polaroid, though, felt different, heavy, wrong. She swung her legs off the couch, bare feet slapping the hardwood floor, and shuffled to the kitchen. The table was cluttered with her usual chaos: a half-empty Dunkin' Donuts cup, a stack of unpaid bills, a notebook filled with scribbled ideas for her next photo project. The Polaroid sat in the center, its lens staring at her like an unblinking eye. "Don't be a coward, Harp," she told herself, grabbing a pair of latex gloves from a drawer. She'd learned the hard way not to touch old film with bare hands. Chemicals could degrade it faster than time. She popped open the camera's film compartment, the hinges creaking like a haunted house door. The cartridge was intact, no corrosion, no leaks. That was rare for a 50-year-old relic. She peeled off the tape, the adhesive cracking like dry bones, and loaded the cartridge back in. Her thumb hovered over the shutter button. "Do not develop." The warning screamed in her head, but curiosity was a stronger beast. She'd spent her life chasing answers, ever since her sister Emily vanished when Harper was 12. No body, no note, just a hole in her family that never healed. If this camera held a story, she'd damn well find it. She pressed the shutter. The camera whirred, spitting out a black square that smelled faintly of chemicals. Harper set it on the table, watching as the image began to develop. At first, it was just gray fog, then shapes emerged, sharp and vivid. A dining room, mid-1970s, with a Formica table set for 4. Roast beef, green beans, dinner rolls, glasses of iced tea sweating onto paper placemats. The scene was ordinary, frozen in time, except for one detail: a hand, pale as bone, gripped the table's edge. Its knuckles were white, nails bloodied, like someone had clawed their way through hell to hold on. Harper's stomach lurched. She leaned closer, her breath catching. The hand wasn't posed, wasn't casual. It was desperate, terrified. She grabbed her phone, snapped a photo of the Polaroid, and texted it to Javier Morales, her best friend and a forensic tech with the Phoenix PD. Harp, 3:02 a.m. Jav, check this out. Found it in an old Polaroid I bought. Creepy as hell. What do you think? She waited, sipping cold coffee from the Dunkin' cup, but no reply came. Javier was probably asleep or buried in case files at the lab. She opened her laptop, a beat-up MacBook Air, and typed 142 Sycamore Phoenix into Google. The first hit was an article from the Arizona Republic, dated the 4th of September, 1973. Family of 4 vanishes from Phoenix home. The Donovan family, Robert, Ellen, and their children, Molly, 8, and Tim, 6, disappeared from their residence at 142 Sycamore Street last night. Police found dinner untouched, the front door open, and no signs of a struggle. Authorities are seeking information. Harper's pulse quickened. She clicked through more articles, piecing together the story. The Donovans were a quiet, working-class family. Robert worked at a power plant. Ellen was a part-time librarian. No debts, no enemies, no reason to run. The case made national news for a month, then faded into a cold file. Theories ranged from alien abductions to a murder-suicide, but no bodies, no clues, nothing. The house was foreclosed in 1975, passed through owners, and sat empty for years, a ghost on Sycamore Street. She glanced at the Polaroid again. The hand. The blood. This wasn't just a photo, was evidence, maybe the kind that could crack a 50-year-old case. But why was it sealed? Why the warning? Her phone buzzed, and she jumped, nearly knocking over her coffee. A text from Javier. Jav, 3:15 a.m. Damn, Harp, that's messed up. Where'd you get this? Don't touch it anymore. Could be evidence. Bring it to the lab tomorrow. And don't do anything stupid. Harper snorted. Too late for that. She grabbed her recorder, a habit from her college journalism days, and hit record. Her voice was steady, but her hands shook. Log 1, the 15th of June, 2024, 3:17 a.m., found a Polaroid camera at an estate sale. Developed a photo dining room. Looks like the Donovan house from 1973. There's a hand in the frame. Looks scared. Blood on the fingernails. Address on film says 142 Sycamore, 2 miles from here. I'm gonna check it out tomorrow. Something's not right. End of 4. She stopped the recording, her eyes drifting to the camera. The urge to develop another photo was overwhelming, like a drug calling her name. She slipped on fresh gloves, loaded the cartridge, and pressed the shutter again. The roar filled the room, louder this time, like a warning. The photo slid out, and she set it on the table, watching the image bloom. This one wasn't a dining room. It was a hallway, narrow, with yellowed wallpaper and family photos hanging crooked on the walls. The light was dim, casting long shadows that stretched like fingers across the floor. At the far end, barely visible, stood a figure tall, impossibly thin, face blurred as if the camera refused to capture it. The figure's head was tilted, like it was watching her through the lens, through time. Harper's throat tightened. She leaned in, squinting. The figure's hands hung at its sides, one clutching something small, maybe a key or a knife. Her heart pounded so loud she could hear it over the AC's hum. She grabbed her phone to snap a picture, but the screen glitched, lines of static cutting across the image. What the hell? She muttered, restarting the app. The photo saved, but when she opened it, the figure was gone, leaving only the empty hallway. She was about to call Javier when her phone buzzed again, not a text, but a notification from an unknown number. Her blood ran cold as she opened it. A single sentence, in all caps, "Stop now or you'll be next." Harper's hands went numb. She dropped the phone, the clatter echoing in the quiet apartment. Her eyes darted to the windows, the door, the shadows in the corners. Everything was locked. She'd checked before bed, a habit from years of living alone. But the air felt heavier now, like someone was breathing just out of sight. She grabbed a kitchen knife, her grip shaky, and crept to the front door. The peephole showed an empty hallway, the fluorescent lights buzzing in her apartment complex. She exhaled, trying to calm her nerves, but then she heard a soft tap 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 from the living room window, 10 feet away. Her heart stopped. She spun around, knife raised, and edged toward the window, the curtains swaying slightly in the AC's breeze. "Get a grip, Harp," she whispered, but her voice cracked. She yanked the curtains back, expecting a branch, a bird, anything but what she found. There, on the windowsill, was another Polaroid photo, its edges curled from the heat. Her hands trembled as she picked it up, the knife clattering to the floor. The photo showed her, asleep on the couch, taken from above, maybe 2 hours ago. Her face was slack, unaware, vulnerable. Scrawled across the bottom in red ink, "You were warned." Harper stumbled back, her breath hitching. Someone had been here, in her apartment, while she slept. She grabbed her phone, dialed Javier, but the call dropped, the screen flashing no signal. The AC cut off, plunging the room into a suffocating silence. She backed toward the kitchen, eyes locked on the Polaroid camera, its lens glinting in the moonlight like it was alive. She hit record on her recorder, her voice barely a whisper. "Log 1, update, 3:42 a.m. Someone's watching me. They were here, in my place. I don't know what I've stumbled into, but this camera, it's not just a camera. It's a trap." The tap 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 came again, louder, from the window. Harper froze, her pulse roaring in her ears. She clutched the knife, her eyes darting to the photo, the camera, the shadows. Somewhere in the dark, a faint whir echoed, like the Polaroid was developing another picture, all on its own. Harper Quinn's hand shook as she clutched the kitchen knife, her eyes darting between the Polaroid camera and the window where that cursed photo had appeared. The tap 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 had stopped, but the silence was worse, heavy and suffocating, like the air itself was holding its breath. Her apartment, a cramped 600 square foot box in Phoenix Encanto district, felt like a trap. The Polaroid on the table or sleeping, unaware, marked with red ink stared back like a threat carved in time. "You were warned." She stumbled to the couch, her heart pounding so hard it hurt. The clock on her iPhone 13 read 3:50 a.m., the 15th of June, 2025. No signal, no bars, just a blank screen mocking her. She tried calling Javier again, but the call died before it even rang. "Come on, you piece of junk," she muttered, smacking the phone against her palm. Nothing. The AC was still off, the room creeping toward 90 degrees Fahrenheit, her tank top clinging to her sweat-soaked skin. Harper grabbed her recorder, her lifeline when her brain spun out of control. She hit record, her voice low and jagged. "Log 1, update, 3:52 a.m. Someone left a photo of me on my windowsill. Taken tonight, while I was out cold. The camera, it's like it's calling me, daring me to keep going. I'm scared, but I'm not stopping. 142 Sycamores 2 miles away. I'm heading there at dawn." She stopped recording, her gaze locking on the camera. Its lens glinted in the moonlight, cold and unyielding, like it knew something she didn't. She shoved it into a canvas bag, along with her Canon EOS R6, a flashlight, and a crowbar from her Jeep's toolbox. No way was she staying here, not with some creep playing mind games. She needed answers, and that house 142 Sycamore was the only place she'd find them. By 6:30 a.m., Harper was parked a block from Sycamore Street, her Jeep Wrangler, idling under a dying mesquite tree. The morning sun was already brutal, pushing 95 degrees Fahrenheit, the kind of heat that made your skin feel like it was melting. She sipped a lukewarm Dunkin' Donuts coffee, the cup sweating in her hand, and stared at the house. 142 Sycamore was a one-story ranch, its beige paint peeling like dead skin, windows boarded with warped plywood. The lawn was a patch of brown dirt, choked with weeds, and a "for sale" bank-owned sign hung crooked on a rusted chain-link fence. It looked like a place where dreams went to die. She killed the engine, grabbed her bag, and stepped out, the gravel crunching under her sneakers. The street was quiet, most houses abandoned or half lived in, the kind of neighborhood where nobody asked questions. Perfect for secrets. She slipped through a gap in the fence, her pulse racing, and circled to the back. A broken window, its screen rusted to dust, gaped like an open wound. She pried it open with the crowbar, the wood groaning, and climbed inside. The air hit her like a slap cold, maybe 60 degrees Fahrenheit, despite the desert heat outside. The smell was worse, damp wood, mold, and something sharp, like old chemicals gone bad. She clicked on her flashlight, the beam cutting through the gloom. The living room was a time capsule, frozen in the 70s. Shag carpet matted with dust, a console television with a cracked screen, a faded couch leaking stuffing. A family photo hung crooked on the wall. Robert Donovan, Ellen, and their kids, Molly and Tim, smiling like nothing could touch them. Harper's stomach twisted. That was before they vanished, before whatever left that bloody hand in her photo. She crept toward the dining room, her sneakers squeaking on the linoleum. The table was gone, but the floor showed a cleaner rectangle where it once stood, like a ghost of the meal she'd seen in the Polaroid. Her flashlight swept the walls, landing on a hallway that stretched into darkness. Yellowed wallpaper peeled in strips, and family photos hung at odd angles, their glass cracked. At the end was a large oval mirror, its surface clouded with grime. Harper froze. For a split second, she swore she saw something move in the reflection, a flicker of a shadow, tall and thin, gone before she could blink. "Get it together, Harp," she whispered, her breath visible in the chilly air. She stepped closer, her reflection distorted in the mirror's haze. Her fingers brushed the glass, cold as ice. She knocked, expecting solid wall, but the sound was hollow, like an empty drum. Her heart skipped. There was something behind it. She was about to pry at the frame when her phone buzzed, startling her so bad she nearly dropped the flashlight. A text from Javier. "Finally, Harp, where you at? That photo you sent is freaky. Found traces of blood on the nail shumen. Old. Don't do anything dumb. Meet me at the lab, 10 a.m. "Too late," she muttered, pocketing the phone. She set her bag down, pulled out the Polaroid camera, and snapped a photo of the mirror. The ray echoed, too loud in the silent house. The photo developed slowly, revealing the hallway, the mirror, and a face, not hers. A child's face, pale, with eyes like black holes, pressed against the glass from the other side. Harper's knees buckled. She checked the mirror, nothing but her own wide-eyed stare. But the photo didn't lie. She stuffed the photo in her bag, her hands trembling, and turned to the hallway wall. Her fingers traced the mirror's frame, finding a seam, barely visible. She pushed, and a panel popped open with a soft click, revealing a narrow crawl space, maybe 3 feet high, lined with splintered beams and cobwebs. Her flashlight beam caught something inside. A small shoe, a kid's sneaker, caked in dirt, lying next to a rusted tin box. Harper's gut screamed to get out, but her feet moved forward. She crawled in, the space claustrophobic, the air thick with dust. Her elbows scraped the wood as she reached the box. Inside was a cassette tape, labeled in spidery handwriting. "Molly, Session 3 1974. Her blood ran cold. The Donovans disappeared in 73. This was a year later. She pocketed the tape, her mind racing. Who was with Molly? What the hell was Session 3? As she backed out, a low, rhythmic thump-thump-thump started, like a heartbeat in the walls. She froze, her flashlight flickering. The sound grew louder, closer, then stopped abruptly when her hand brushed the mirror's edge. Her breath hitched. She scrambled out, slamming the panel shut, and ran to the dining room, her heart in her throat. The house was too quiet now, the kind of quiet that hid predators. She needed answers, not just guesses. She pulled out her phone, opened the browser, and searched Donovan family 142 Sycamore. Most hits were old news, but one caught her eye. A 1980 One Phoenix Gazette article by Grace Turner, a reporter who dug into the case. The article mentioned a cop, Henry Walsh, who'd spent unusual amounts of time at the house after the case went cold. Harper saved the link, her mind buzzing. Grace might know something. She called Javier, her voice low. Jav, it's me. I'm at 142 Sycamore. Are you out of your damn mind? Javier's voice crackled through the line. Harp, get out of there. That place is a crime scene, or was. You're gonna get arrested or worse. Listen, she cut in. I found a tape labeled Molly 1974, a year after they vanished. And there's a crawl space behind a mirror. Something seriously wrong here. Javier sighed, the sound heavy. Okay, fine, but don't touch anything else. Meet me at the lab and bring that tape. I'll run it through the audio rig. And Harp? Be careful. Old houses like that, they hold grudges. She hung up, her eyes scanning the room. The mirror loomed in her peripheral vision, its surface seeming to ripple, like water disturbed by a stone. She shook it off, grabbed her bag, and headed for the window. But as she climbed out, she heard a faint, childish giggle echoing from the hallway. She didn't look back. By 9 a.m., Harper was at June's Breakfast House, a greasy diner off Interstate 17, the kind of place where truckers and retirees nursed coffee over bacon and eggs. The air smelled of frying grease and floor wax, and the jukebox played a scratchy Springsteen track. She'd tracked down Grace Turner through an old byline, finding her listed as a consultant on a true crime blog. Grace agreed to meet, but only in public and only during daylight. Harper sat in a corner booth, her bag tucked close, the cassette tape burning a hole in her pocket. She sipped a Coke, the ice clinking, and checked her phone. Javier had texted, "Lab's ready. Tape could be degraded, but I'll try. Don't trust anyone yet." She was about to reply when the diner's bell chimed, and a woman walked in. Late 60s, sharp gray eyes, hair pulled back in a tight bun. Grace Turner. You Harper? Grace slid into the booth, her voice gravelly, like she'd smoked too many Camels. She wore a faded denim jacket, her hands calloused but steady. Yeah, Harper said, sizing her up. Grace looked like someone who'd seen too much and trusted too little. Thanks for meeting me. Don't thank me yet. Grace leaned forward, her eyes flicking to Harper's bag. You said you found something at 142 Sycamore. What is it? Harper hesitated, then pulled out the first Polaroid the dining room, the bloody hand. Grace's face didn't change, but her fingers tightened around her coffee mug. Where'd you get this? Old camera. Estate sale. Film was sealed, marked with the address. I developed it last night. Then someone left a photo of me sleeping on my windowsill, with a warning to stop. Grace's eyes narrowed. You're in deep already, kid. That house. It's not just a house. It's a vault, locked tight by people who don't like nosy types like us. Like us? Harper leaned in. Your article said Henry Walsh was obsessed with the case. What did he know? Grace glanced around, making sure no one was listening. Walsh was dirty. Everyone knew it, but nobody had the guts to call him out. He'd go to that house at night, long after the case was cold. Said he was checking leads, but I saw him once, carrying a box out the back. Looked like film reels, old ones. Harper's pulse quickened. Film? Like home movies? Or something worse? Grace's voice dropped. I dug too deep, Harper. Got threats, phone calls, letters, a dead cat on my porch. I quit the paper in '82, but I heard things. Whispers about a group called the Archivists. They don't just kill people, they collect them photos, videos, lives. That house was one of their galleries. The Archivists? Harper's mouth went dry. What the hell are they? A network. Sick bastards who trade in pain. They've got people everywhere, cops, bankers, even reporters. Walsh was one of theirs, or worked for them. If you've got their film, you're not just a threat. You're a target. Harper's mind raced, piecing it together. The photos, the tape, the warning. She pulled out the cassette, showing Grace the label. Found this behind a mirror. Molly, Session 3, 1974. You think it's tied to them? Grace's face pallid. Burn it. Or, better yet, give it to me and walk away. No way in hell, Harper snapped. If Molly was alive in 74, someone kept her after the family vanished. I'm finding out who. Grace sighed, like she'd heard it all before. Then you're dumber than I was. Check the Public Records Office. Look for Walsh's old reports. But watch your back. They're already watching you. Harper nodded, her jaw tight. She paid for the coffee and left, the cassette heavy in her pocket. The diner's bell chimed as she stepped into the blinding heat, her Jeep waiting like a lifeline. She drove to the Phoenix Public Records Office, a gray slab of a building with humming fluorescents and vinyl floors. After signing in, she requested microfilm on the Donovan case, her hands sweaty as the clerk, a woman in her 60s with librarian glasses, handed her a box labeled Case 73-1082, Donovan Disappearance. In a dim viewing booth, Harper fed the film into the machine, the headlines blurring by, Family Vanishes Mid-Meal, Police Baffled by Sycamore Mystery. She paused on a police report from the 7th of September, 1973, signed by Henry Walsh. It described the dining room same as her photo, but claimed no blood, no signs of violence. A line caught her eye. Camera found in living room, film blank, logged as non-evidentiary. Bullshit. Harper muttered. Her photo wasn't blank. Someone Walsh had lied. She kept scrolling, finding a grainy image of the dining room from the police file. The angle matched her Polaroid, but the hand was cropped out, like it'd been edited. Her skin prickled. This wasn't just a cover-up, it was deliberate. She was about to print the page when her flashlight, still in her bag, flickered on its own, the beam hitting the mirror across the room. Harper froze. In the reflection, she saw Ida Child's face, pale and eyeless, just like the Polaroid from the house. She spun around, but the mirror was empty, reflecting only her own terrified face. Her breath came in gasps as she grabbed her bag and bolted, the clerk calling after her. By noon, Harper was back at 142 Sycamore, too stubborn or too reckless to wait. The house loomed darker now, the shadows sharper, like it knew she'd returned. She climbed through the same window, the cold air hitting her like a fist. Her flashlight swept the hallway, landing on the mirror. She approached, her reflection warped, and knocked again, hollow. She pried at the panel, her crowbar biting into the wood, and it gave way, revealing the crawl space. She crawled in, the cassette tape in her pocket, her flashlight beam shaking. The shoe was still there, next to a new find, a child's drawing, scratched in charcoal on the wall. It showed a man with a camera, his face blank, and a girl tied to a chair. Below it, in shaky letters, "He sees you when you sleep." Harper's stomach churned. She reached for the drawing, but the thump 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 started again, louder, faster, like a pulse racing toward climax. Her flashlight flickered, then died, plunging her into darkness. The air grew colder, the chemical smell choking her. She backed out, her elbows scraping, and slammed the panel shut, her chest heaving. She stumbled to the dining room, her mind screaming to leave, but the mirror called her back. She raised her Canon, snapped a photo, and checked the screen. The hallway was empty, but the mirror showed a figure tall, thin, faceless standing right behind her. She spun, knife raised, but no one was there. The house was silent, too silent, until a giggle high and childish echoed from the walls. Harper ran for the window, her bag bouncing, and climbed out, her sneakers hitting the dirt. She sprinted to her Jeep, locking the doors, her breath ragged. She hit record, her voice breaking. Log 2. The 15th of June, 2025, 12:47 p.m. I'm out, but I'm not safe. There's something in that house, something alive. The tape, the drawing, Molly was here, after 73. And someone's still watching. I'm trapped in their frame, and I don't know how to get out. As she pulled away, the rearview mirror caught a flicker of a child's face in the house's window, watching her go. Then the mirror cracked, splitting her reflection in two. Harper Quinn's Jeep screeched to a stop in an alley 3 blocks from Sycamore Street, her hand still shaking on the wheel. The rearview mirror's crack split her reflection, a jagged line cutting through her wide, panicked eyes. That face in the window pale, childlike, watching burned in her mind like a brand. The giggle from 142 Sycamore echoed in her ears, high and wrong, like a record played backward. It was 1:15 p.m., the 15th of June, 2025, and Phoenix's heat 97 degrees Fahrenheit and climbing pressed against the Jeep's windows, but Harper felt ice cold, her tank top soaked with sweat and fear. She grabbed her recorder, her lifeline in the chaos, and hit record, her voice raw. Log 2. Update. 1:16 p.m. I got out of the house, but it's not over. There was a kid's face in the window, watching me. The mirror cracked on its own. I found a tape, a drawing, proof Molly Donovan was alive in '74. Grace mentioned the archivist some kind of sick network. I'm in deep, and I don't know how to get out. She stopped recording, her breath hitching. The canvas bag on the passenger seat held the Polaroid camera, the bloody hand photo, the hallway photo with its blurred figure, and the cassette tape labeled Molly, Session 3, 1974. Her Canon EOS R6, crowbar, and flashlight rattled beside it. She'd left 142 Sycamore, but the house clung to her, its secrets crawling under her skin. Her iPhone 13 buzzed, snapping her back. A text from Javier Morales, her forensic tech friend. Harp, where you at? Lab's ready for that tape. Don't go back to that house. I'm serious. She typed a quick reply. On my way, 20 Minan pulled onto the road, the Jeep's tires kicking up dust. But as she merged onto Interstate 17, her phone glitched, the screen flashing static, before a new message popped up. No sender. You can't run from the frame. Her stomach dropped. She swerved, nearly clipping a pickup, and slammed the phone face down on the seat. Get a grip, Harp, she muttered, but her hands trembled. Someone or something was watching, and they weren't just in that house. They were in her life, her phone, her head. At 2 p.m., Harper pushed through the glass doors of the Phoenix PD's forensic lab, a sterile maze of humming machines and fluorescent lights. Javier was waiting in his cluttered office, a 10 by 10 cube stacked with case files and empty Red Bull cans. He was 35, stocky, with a buzz cut and a perpetual 5 o'clock shadow. His lab coat was wrinkled, but his eyes were sharp, scanning Harper like she was evidence. You look like hell, he said, leaning back in his chair. What happened at that house? Harper dropped her bag on the desk, the cassette tape clattering out. Found this behind a mirror at 142 Sycamore, labeled Molly, 1974, a year after the Donovans vanished. In Jav, there's more. A drawing of a guy with a camera, a kid's shoe, and something laughed at me. A kid's voice, but not right. Javier's jaw tightened. He picked up the tape, turning it over. You're saying someone kept Molly alive after the family disappeared. That's heavy, Harp. And creepy as hell. There's a group, she said, lowering her voice. Grace Turner, an old reporter, called them the archivists. They don't just kill people, they record them, collect them, like trophies. That house was one of their galleries. Javier raised an eyebrow. You're buying into conspiracy stuff now. Sounds like a ghost story. It's not a story, Harper snapped, pulling out the Polaroid of the hallway with the blurred figure. Look at this. I took it this morning. There's someone in the frame, but when I turned around, no one was there. And this? She showed the photo of the mirror with the child's eyeless face. This wasn't in the reflection. Javier's face paled. He grabbed a pair of gloves, handling the photos like they were radioactive. Okay, this is next level weird. I'll run the tape through the audio rig, check for prints on the photos. But Harp, you gotta slow down. If this archivist thing is real, you're poking a bear with a stick. And I don't have a choice, she said, her voice breaking. Someone was in my apartment last night, Jav. They left a photo of me sleeping. They're not going to stop unless I do. Javier sighed, rubbing his temples. Fine. Stay here while I process this. And don't touch anything, you're already a walking crime scene. While Javier worked, Harper paced the lab, her mind churning. Grace's words. They've got people everywhere, nodded her. She opened her laptop, a battered MacBook Air, and dug deeper into the Donovan case. A true crime forum mentioned a cop, Henry Walsh, who'd been lead investigator in '73. Post claimed he was obsessed, seen at the house late at night, carrying boxes. One user, Eyes Open 76, hinted at a cover-up. Walsh buried evidence. Check the microfilm. 1973, case 73-1082. The truth's in the redactions. Harper's pulse quickened. She'd seen those redactions at the records office, blacked out lines in Walsh's report. She texted Grace, found Walsh's name in forums. What did he hide? Need more on the archivists. No reply. She tried calling, but it went straight to voicemail. A robotic, leave a message. Unease twisted her gut. Grace wasn't the type to ghost. Javier returned, holding the cassette tape and a USB drive. Got something. The tape's degraded, but I cleaned it up. You're not gonna like it. He plugged the USB into a speaker, and a crackling voice filled the room, a man, low and calm, like a predator soothing prey. Smile, Molly. The camera loves you. Say it, I'm happy here. A child's voice, trembling, barely audible. I'm happy here. The man again. Good girl. Now, let's try the pose again. Hands in your lap, eyes on me. The tape cut to static, then a sob, sharp and gut-wrenching. Harper's hands clenched, her nails digging into her palms. That's Molly Donovan, she whispered. They kept her alive, tortured her, recorded it. Javier nodded, his face grim. There's more. I found a second layer of audio, buried in the background. Sounds like church bells. Specific one, St. Mary's Basilica, downtown Phoenix. They only rang that pattern in the '70s. Means this was recorded close to the church, maybe a mile away. Harper's mind raced. St. Mary's was near Sycamore Street. The house or somewhere nearby was a hub for whatever the archivists were doing. What about prints? She asked. Got one partial on the tape, Javier said. No match in the database, but it's got traces of silver nitrate, old photo developing chemical. Whoever handled this was deep in analog film. Before Harper could respond, her phone buzzed with an email. No sender. Subject, keep looking. Attached was a grainy video, 10 seconds long. It showed her walking down 7th Street last night, shot from above, maybe by a drone. The camera zoomed in on her face, her eyes tired but determined. A child's voice sang softly. He sees you, he knows you, he keeps you in the frame. The video ended with a flash of a face, pale, eyeless, just like the mirror photo. Harper's blood ran cold. She showed Javier, who cursed under his breath. Harp, this isn't just evidence. It's a taunt. They're playing with you. And I'm not playing back, she said, her jaw tight. I need to find Grace. She knows more than she's saying. By 5 p.m., Harper was at the Phoenix Public Library, a sprawling building with humming AC and rows of microfilm readers. The heat outside had hit 100 degrees Fahrenheit, but inside felt like a freezer, matching the chill in her bones. She'd called Grace 3 times, no answer. The True Crime Forum's tip about Walsh's reports burned in her mind. She signed in, grabbed the microfilm for case 73-1082, and settled into a booth. The machines hummed the only sound in the quiet room. The film loaded, and headlines flickered by. Donovan mystery deepens, no leads in Sycamore vanishing. She found Walsh's report, dated the 10th of September, 1973. It described the house, a dining room, open door, no struggle, but entire paragraphs were blacked out, like someone had taken a marker to the truth. One line survived. Film recovered from camera, damaged, no images, non-evidentiary. Damaged, my ass, Harper muttered. Her Polaroids were crystal clear. She scrolled to a crime scene photo, the dining room, matching her first Polaroid. The table, the plates, the iced tea glasses all identical, but the bloody hand was cropped out, the edge of the frame sliced clean. Walsh had hidden it, or someone had. She printed the report, her hands shaky, and checked her phone. A new text from an unknown number. Go deeper, Nevada. 827, Desert Bloom. Her heart stopped. Nevada? That was 300 miles away. She opened the email app, finding another message, this one from Sarah V92. I survived their frame. Meet me, Nevada, 827 Desert Bloom. They're still watching. Attached was a photo of a room, concrete walls, a rusty chair, a Polaroid camera on a tripod. It looked like the basement from her nightmare. Harper's throat tightened. She forwarded the email to Javier, adding, got a lead, Nevada, check this address. She was about to leave when the library's lights flickered, and her flashlight, tucked in her bag, turned on by itself, the beam hitting a mirror on the wall. In the reflection, she saw it again, the eyeless child, lips curled in a smile, standing behind her. She spun, but the booth was empty, the mirror showing only her pale face. She grabbed her bag and bolted, the microfilm printout crumpled in her hand. Outside, the heat slammed into her, but it couldn't melt the ice in her veins. She called Javier, her voice urgent. Jav, I got a lead, 827 Desert Bloom, Nevada. Some girl named Sarah says she's a survivor. I'm going. Are you insane? Javier shouted. You're not a cop. Harp, wait for me. Or better yet, call Ortiz. She's been sniffing around missing persons cases tied to old cameras. Ortiz? Harper paused, climbing into her Jeep. Who's that? Detective Lena Ortiz, works cold cases. I mentioned your photos to her. Hope, that's cool. She says there's 6 similar vanishings in Arizona, all with Polaroids left behind. She wants to talk. Harper's mind raced. A cop could help, but Grace's warning, they've got people everywhere, made her wary. Fine, give her my number, but I'm not waiting. Sarah's in Nevada, and I'm going now. Javier sighed. You're gonna get yourself killed. At least take my Beretta. It's in my desk, top drawer. Harper snorted. I'm not you, Jav. I'll stick with my crowbar. She hung up, her eyes on the horizon. Nevada was a 5-hour drive, 300 miles of desert and secrets. She texted Sarah, on my way. Who are you? What's at 827 Desert Bloom? No reply. By 10 p.m., Harper and Detective Lena Ortiz pulled into a dirt lot outside 827 Desert Bloom, a crumbling ranch house on the outskirts of Henderson, Nevada. Ortiz, a wiry 30-year-old with a buzz cut and a no-nonsense stare, had insisted on joining after Javier looped her in. Her unmarked Ford Explorer was parked beside Harper's Jeep, the desert night dropping to 75 degrees Fahrenheit, stars blazing overhead. You sure about this? Ortiz asked, checking her Glock. This place looks deader than my last Tinder date. Harper gripped her flashlight, her bag slung over her shoulder. Sarah said she survived the archivists. If she's here, we find her. If not, we find answers. Ortiz nodded, her eyes scanning the house. It was a twin to 142 Sycamore peeling paint, boarded windows, a foreclosed sign, half buried in sand. They slipped through a broken gate, the gravel crunching under their boots. The back door was ajar, creaking as Ortiz pushed it open. Inside, the air was stale, reeking of dust and something metallic, like old blood. Harper's flashlight swept the living room empty, except for a overturned chair and a faded calendar stuck on 1975. Ortiz led the way to a hallway, her gun raised. Stay close, she whispered. They found a trapdoor under a rug, leading to a basement. The stairs groaned under their weight, the air growing colder, heavier, with every step. The basement was a concrete box, 20 by 20 feet, lined with shelves of film canisters, photo albums, and old cameras, dozens, maybe hundreds. A tripod stood in the center, a Polaroid camera aimed at a rusty chair. Harper's nightmare flashed back, the girl, the ropes, the rur. She approached the shelves, her flashlight catching a leather-bound journal. She opened it, her hands trembling. Pages listed addresses 12 across the U.S., labeled collection points. One was 142 Sycamore. Another was 827 Desert Bloom. A note in red ink read, "The curator sees all." Ortiz grabbed a film canister, labeled Subject 17, 1976. "What the hell is this place?" she muttered, popping it open. Inside was a Polaroid of a teenage girl, tied to the chair, eyes glassy with fear. Harper's stomach churned. She recognized the pose from her dream. They were about to search more when Harper's phone buzzed, the screen lighting up the dark. A new video, No Cinder, 15 seconds long. It showed her and Ortiz entering the house, shot from above, timestamped 10 minutes ago. The child's voice sang again. "He sees you, he knows you, he keeps you in the frame." The video ended with a close-up of Harper's face, oblivious, and a shadow moving behind her. Ortiz's eyes widened. Someone's here. Now. Harper's flashlight died, plunging them into darkness. Footsteps echoed above, heavy and deliberate, descending the stairs. A man's voice, cold and smooth, cut through the black. "Welcome to my gallery, ladies. You're just in time for the next frame." Harper's heart stopped. She grabbed Ortiz's arm, her voice a whisper. "Run." But the trapdoor slammed shut, the sound like a coffin lid closing. The hollow frame. Part 4. The man behind the lens. The trapdoor's slam echoed like a gunshot in the basement of 827 Desert Bloom, sealing Harper Quinn and Detective Lena Ortiz in a tomb of concrete and shadows. The air was thick, heavy with the stench of rust and something sour, like dried blood baked into the walls. Harper's heart jackhammered, her flashlight dead, leaving only the faint glow of Ortiz's phone cutting through the pitch black. The man's voice, smooth, cold, predatory, lingered in the air. "Welcome to my gallery, ladies. You're just in time for the next frame." Harper grabbed Ortiz's arm, her nails digging in. "We gotta move," she whispered, her voice barely a hiss. Her eyes strained against the darkness, picking out the faint outline of the tripod and its Polaroid camera, still aimed at the rusty chair like it was waiting for its next victim. Ortiz, gun raised, edged toward the shelves lining the 20 by 20-foot basement, her boots scraping the gritty floor. "Stay behind me," she muttered. "Whoever that is, they're not trapping us down here." Her phone's light swept the room, catching rows of film canisters, photo albums, and old camera, some so ancient they looked like museum pieces. Each canister was labeled Subject 17, 1976, Subject 23, 1981, Subject 47, 2005. Harper's stomach churned. Subject 47. That number burned. A memory she couldn't shake. Her sister Emily vanished in 2005, when Harper was 12. The footsteps above stopped, replaced by a low hum, like a generator kicking on. A faint click echoed, and a single bulb flickered to life overhead, bathing the room in sickly yellow light. Harper's breath caught. The shelves were worse in the light, hundreds of photos, some curled with age, others pristine, all showing faces frozen in fear. A leather-bound journal sat open on a crate, its pages filled with spidery handwriting. Collection points: 142 Sycamore, Phoenix, 827 Desert Bloom, Henderson, 319 Cactus Way, Tucson. 12 addresses, coast to coast, each marked with dates and names. One entry read, Project July. Training initiated, 1974. Subject 12, Molly Donovan, compliant. Ortiz cursed under her breath. This is a serial operation. These aren't just photos, they're trophies. She grabbed a canister, Subject 47, 2005, and popped it open. Inside was a Polaroid of a teenage girl, maybe 16, tied to a chair, her face pale, eyes glassy. Harper's knees buckled. The girl's hair, her sharp cheekbones. It was Emily, her sister, captured in this hellhole 20 years ago. "Emily," Harper whispered, her voice breaking. She snatched the photo, her hands trembling. Scrawled on the back in red ink, Specimen 47, promising for Project July. Her vision blurred, tears burning. They had her. Ortiz. They had my sister. Ortiz's face softened, but her gun stayed steady. I'm sorry, Harper. But we need to focus. That voice someone's here, and they're not done with us. Harper stuffed the photo in her pocket, her jaw tight. She grabbed the journal, flipping pages. A note in bold, the curator sees all. Subjects are framed, preserved, eternal. Her blood ran cold. The curator. That's who was behind this, the puppet master of the archivists. She was about to read more when a metallic clank rang out, and a hiss filled the room, gas, sharp and chemical, seeping from vents in the walls. Ortiz coughed, covering her mouth. Move, find a way out. They scrambled to the trapdoor, but it was locked tight, the steel unyielding under Harper's crowbar. The gas stung her eyes, her lungs burning. She stumbled, her vision swimming, and caught herself on the tripod. The Polaroid camera whirred, spitting out a photo unprompted. It landed at her feet. Her and Ortiz, standing in the basement, taken seconds ago, with a shadow looming behind them, faceless and tall. Harper's scream caught in her throat. She grabbed Ortiz, pulling her toward a corner where the shelves hid a narrow seam in the wall, a possible exit. They pushed, the concrete groaning, and a panel slid open, revealing a tunnel, damp and narrow, lined with cobwebs. They crawled in, the gas chasing them, their breaths ragged. The tunnel stretched maybe 30 feet, ending at a rusty ladder, leading up to a hatch. Ortiz climbed first, shoving the hatch open, and they spilled into the desert night, gasping for air. Harper's phone buzzed as they stumbled into the sand, the Nevada sky, a sea of stars above. A video, no cinder, loaded automatically. It showed them crawling through the tunnel, shot from above, timestamp 10:05 p.m., the 15th of June, 2025. The child's voice sang, chilling and soft, "He sees you, he knows you, he keeps you in the frame." The video ended with a close-up of Harper's face, terrified, and a figure in the background, tall, thin, in a black coat, face blurred like a smudged photograph. Ortiz grabbed the phone, her eyes wide. This is real-time surveillance. They've got cameras everywhere. She scanned the desert, her Glock raised. We're not alone. Harper's mind raced, the journal's weight heavy in her bag. The curator, she said, he's running this, and he knows we're here. Ortiz nodded, her voice low. We need backup. I'm calling it in. She dialed her precinct, but the call dropped, her phone flashing no signal. Harper's did the same. The desert was silent, save for the faint hum of cicadas and something else, a low, rhythmic thump thump thump, like a heartbeat from the house. We can't stay here, Harper said, her voice shaky. She pulled out her recorder, hitting record. Log 3, 10:12 p.m. We're out of the basement, but the curator's watching. Found a journal, 12 addresses, a network, Emily's photo, labeled Subject 47. She was here, or somewhere like it. I'm not stopping until I find him. They ran to Ortiz's Ford Explorer, the engine roaring to life. As they peeled out, Harper glanced back. A figure stood in the house's doorway, motionless, its face hidden in shadow. Her heart stopped. It wasn't Sarah. Back in Phoenix by 3 a.m., the 16th of June, 2025, Harper sat in Javier's lab, the air thick with the smell of coffee and antiseptic. Ortiz was outside, on the phone with her precinct, trying to get a warrant for 827 Desert Bloom. Javier hunched over his audio rig, the Molly, Session 3, 1974 tape playing on loop. The child's sobs filled the room, each one a knife in Harper's chest. I enhanced the background, Javier said, his voice grim. Those church bells, definitely St. Mary's, 1974. But there's something else, a second voice, faint, like it was recorded over. Sounds like a woman, saying, don't let him see you cry. Probably Ellen Donovan. Harper's throat tightened. They kept the whole family alive, didn't they? For months, maybe years. Javier nodded, sliding a printout across the desk. Found this in the database. Henry Walsh, lead cop on the Donovan case, died in '95, heart attack. But he owned a property near St. Mary's, a warehouse, sold in '80. Guess who bought it? A shell company, July Holdings. July Holdings. Harper repeated, her mind flashing to the journal's Project July. That's not a coincidence. Grace mentioned the archivist Walsh was part of it. Javier leaned back, rubbing his eyes. Harp, this is bigger than us. You need to hand this over to Ortiz. Let the cops handle it. No way, Harper snapped. They buried this in '73. I'm not trusting anyone until I know who the curator is. She pulled out her phone, opening the email from Sarah V92. The address 827 Desert Bloom matched the journal. But Sarah's words haunted her. I survived their frame. Was Sarah a victim or something else? Her phone buzzed. A new email. No sender. Your closer now. Check the mirror. Attached was a photo of Harper in Javier's lab, taken from above, timestamp 3:05 a.m. She spun, scanning the ceiling, but saw nothing. No cameras, no drones. Javier grabbed the phone, his face pale. They're in here, Harp. Right now. Before she could respond, Ortiz burst in, her Glock drawn. We've got a problem. My precinct traced the Nevada address. It's been flagged as a crime scene before 3 missing girls, 1980s, all linked to Polaroids. And Harper, your name came up in a tip. Someone saying you broke into 142 Sycamore. Harper's blood ran cold. A tip. From who? No name, Ortiz said. But they sent this. She held up her phone, showing a video of Harper crawling through the Sycamore crawl space, shot from an angle she hadn't seen. The child's giggle played, chilling and sharp. Harper's eyes locked on the screen, and then she saw a reflection in the crawl space's mirror, not hers, not a child's. It was Emily, her sister, older, hollow-eyed, watching from behind the glass. Emily, Harper choked, her knees buckling. She grabbed the desk, her vision blurring. She's alive. She's part of this thing. Ortiz's eyes narrowed. Your sister? Harper, you never said. I didn't know, Harper shouted, tears streaming. She vanished in 2005. I thought she was dead. But that's her, in the mirror, in the video. They've got her. Javier grabbed her shoulder. Harp, calm down. We'll figure this out, but you can't go off half-cocked. Harper shook him off, her jaw tight. She pulled out the journal, flipping to a page she'd missed. Subject 47, 2005. Recruited for Project July. Training complete, 2010. Now Miss July. Her heart stopped. Emily wasn't just a victim. She was one of them, trained, twisted, part of the archivist's machine. She hit record, her voice shaking. Log 3, update, 3:20 a.m. Emily's alive, but she's not my sister anymore. She's Miss July, part of their sick game. The curator's running this, and he's close. I'm going back to 142 Sycamore. I'm ending this. Ortiz grabbed her arm. You're not going alone. I'm in, but we do this my way by the book. Hey? Harper nodded, but her mind was elsewhere. She texted Sarah, who are you? Are you with Emily? No reply. She grabbed her bag, the Polaroid camera heavy inside, and followed Ortiz to the Explorer. They drove through Phoenix's empty streets, the city lights blurring past, the temperature dropping to 70 degrees Fahrenheit. Sycamore Street loomed ahead, the house a dark bruise against the night. They parked a block away, moving silently through the shadows. The house was unchanged, peeling paint, boarded windows, the air heavy with secrets. Harper's flashlight swept the backyard, landing on the broken window she'd used before. Ortiz went first, her gun ready, and Harper followed, her crowbar gripped tight. Inside, the cold hit again, 60 degrees Fahrenheit, unnatural, like the house was alive and angry. They moved to the hallway, the mirror looming like a portal. Harper's reflection was distorted, her eyes too wide, her face too pale. She touched the glass, her fingers trembling. Emily, she whispered. If you're here, show me. The mirror rippled, or maybe it was her imagination. Then a voice, low, male, chilling, came from behind the glass. "You're a beautiful subject, Harper. Just like Emily. She fought at first, but she learned. You will too." Harper spun, her flashlight sweeping the hallway, but it was empty. Ortiz's gun shook slightly, her voice low. "Who's there? Show yourself." A laugh, deep and hollow, echoed from the walls. "I'm the curator, and you're already in my frame." The mirror flickered, and a screen embedded in the glass lit up, showing a live feed Harper and Ortiz standing in the hallway, filmed from above. The camera zoomed in, catching Harper's terrified face, then panned to a figure behind them, tall, in a black coat, face blurred, holding a Polaroid camera. Harper's scream caught in her throat. She grabbed Ortiz, pulling her toward the dining room, but the floor creaked, and a hidden panel slid shut, trapping them in the hallway. The mirror's screen flickered again, showing Emily Miss July standing in a basement, her eyes cold, her voice flat. "You shouldn't have come, Harp. The curator always wins." Harper pounded the mirror, her fists bloody. "Emily, fight it. You're my sister." The screen went black, and gas hissed from the walls, sharp and choking. Harper's vision blurred, her legs buckling. She hit record, her voice a gasp. "Log 4, 3:45 a.m. The curator's here. Emily's one of them, Miss July. They're closing the frame, and I'm trapped inside." The gas filled the hallway, and Harper collapsed. The mirror's last image burned into her mind. Emily's face, smiling, as the Polaroid camera whirred. Harper Quinn's world dissolved into a haze of choking gas, her lungs burning as she collapsed against the cold linoleum of 142 Sycamore's hallway. The mirror's screen, now dark, mocked her with the last image of her sister Emily Miss Julismaling with cold, empty eyes. The curator's voice still echoed in her skull. "You're already in my frame." Her hands scrabbled at the floor, nails scraping, searching for her recorder as her vision blurred. The Polaroid camera, still in her bag, whirred faintly, like it was laughing at her. Detective Lena Ortiz slumped nearby, coughing, her Glock clattering to the ground. The gas was relentless, sharp and chemical, clawing at their throats. Harper's fingers found the recorder, and she hit record, her voice a ragged gasp. "Log 4, update, 3:50 a.m., the 16th of June, 2025. Trapped in Sycamore. Emily's, she's one of them. The curator's got us. I don't know if I'm getting out." Her head spun, the gas dragging her toward darkness. But then a crash, loud and jarring, like a door being kicked in. Flashlights pierced the haze, and voices shouted, sharp and urgent. "Phoenix PD, hands up." Harper tried to call out, but her voice was a croak. Strong hands grabbed her, dragging her toward the open window. Fresh air hit her face, and she coughed, gulping oxygen. Ortiz was pulled out beside her, her face pale but alive. Outside, the desert night was cool, 68 degrees Fahrenheit, the stars a cruel contrast to the nightmare inside. Javier Morales knelt beside her, his lab coat smeared with dirt. "Harp, you okay?" "Jesus, you scared the hell out of me." His voice was tight, his hands checking her pulse. Harper pushed him away, her throat raw. "Emily, she's in there. She's Miss July." They turned her. Javier's eyes widened, but before he could respond, Ortiz staggered to her feet, barking orders at the cops swarming the yard. "Seal the house. Check the basement, tunnels, everything. Suspects still inside." Harper grabbed Javier's arm, her voice hoarse. "The curator, he's running this. And Emily, she's not a victim anymore. She's part of it." Javier helped her stand, his face grim. "Ortiz called in the cavalry after your text. I traced your phone's GPS. You're lucky we got here fast." Harper's legs wobbled, but her mind was racing. The journal, the photos, Emily's face on that screen, they were pieces of a puzzle bigger than one house. She pulled the journal from her bag, its pages crumpled but intact. "This lists 12 addresses. Collection points. The curator's got a network, Jav, and Emily's helping him." Ortiz joined them, her Glock holstered, but her eyes sharp. "We found a tunnel under the hallway. leads to a basement. It's bad, Harper. Real bad. Harper's stomach churned. Show me. Ortiz hesitated, then nodded. Stay close. And don't touch anything. The basement stairs creaked under Harper's sneakers, the air growing colder with every step, dropping to 55 degrees Fahrenheit. The smell hit her first mold, rust, and something organic, like meat left to rot. Flashlights from the cops lit up a 30 by 30-foot concrete chamber, its walls lined with shelves packed with film canisters, photo albums, and some Polaroids. Some 8mm, some so old they looked like relics from the 1940s. A rusty chair sat in the center, its armrests stained dark. A tripod faced it, a Polaroid camera still loaded, its lens glinting like an unblinking eye. Harper's breath caught. This was the room from her nightmare, the chair, the ropes, the suffocating dark. She approached the shelves, her flashlight shaking. One album was labeled Project July, 1974 present. She opened it, her hands trembling. Photos spilled out. Molly Donovan, tied to the chair, her eyes red from crying. Ellen Donovan, head bowed, wrists zip-tied. A teenage girl, maybe 16, labeled Subject 47, 2005 Emily, her face hollow but defiant. A note in red ink, Miss July, training complete. Loyal. Harper's knees buckled. She grabbed the shelf, her vision blurring. She was 16 when they took her, she whispered. They broke her, turned her into this monster. Ortiz's voice was low, tense. Harper, look at this. She held up a journal page, torn and yellowed. It was Ellen Donovan's handwriting, shaky but clear. He makes us pose. He says the camera keeps us alive. Molly's still here, but she's fading. If anyone finds this, find my girl. Don't let him frame her. Harper's chest tightened. She flipped through the album, finding more photos, dozens of faces, men, women, children, all labeled with numbers and dates stretching to 2023. One caught her eye. Subject 92, 2014. A girl, maybe 11, with eyes like Molly's, standing in a basement like this one. A note, born in frame, trained for July. Ortiz grabbed a film canister. Subject 17, 1976. This is bigger than we thought. These aren't just victims, they're a collection, like art to this sick bastard. Harper's phone buzzed, the screen lighting up the dim basement. Another email, no Cinder, you're in my house now. Attached was a video, timestamp 3:55 a.m., the 16th of June, 2025. It showed Harper and Ortiz in the basement, filmed from above, their faces clear. The child's voice sang, chilling and slow. He sees you, he knows you, he keeps you in the frame. The video panned to a corner, where a figure stood tall, in a black coat, face blurred, holding a camera. Harper's blood froze. She spun, her flashlight sweeping the room, but the corner was empty. Ortiz's gun was out, her voice sharp. He's here, Harper. Or he was. Turn you. A faint thump 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 started, like a heartbeat in the walls. Harper's eyes darted to a shelf, where a small mirror hung, its surface cracked. She approached, her reflection distorted, and saw a flicker of movement, not her own. Emily's face, older, hollow, staring back. Harper screamed, dropping the flashlight. The mirror shattered, glass raining to the floor, and a piece of paper fluttered out, scrawled in red. She's still here. Ortiz grabbed Harper's arm. We're leaving. Now. Sen. But Harper pulled free, her voice shaking. Number, I'm finding Emily. She ran to the shelves, grabbing canisters, flipping through photos. One showed Emily, now in her 30s, standing beside a child, Subject 92, the girl with Molly's eyes. Harper's heart stopped. This is Molly's daughter. They kept her, raised her here. A cop shouted from the stairs. Detective, we found a tunnel, leads to the garage. It's Actifresh footprints. Ortiz nodded, her eyes on Harper. You stay with me, or I cuff you to the chair. Harper followed, her bag heavy with the journal and photos. The tunnel was narrow, damp, lined with spider webs that clung to her face. It stretched 40 feet, ending in a garage, its walls uneven, painted sloppily to hide something. Ortiz's flashlight caught a seam of false panel. They pushed, and it gave way, revealing a hidden room, 15 by 15 feet, lit by a single red bulb. Inside were monitors, dozens of them, showing live feeds, 142 Sycamore, 827 Desert Bloom, Harper's apartment, even Javier's lab. Cameras everywhere, watching, recording. Harper's stomach churned. He's been watching me since I bought that damn camera. She approached a monitor showing her apartment, her couch empty, the Polaroid camera on the table. The screen flickered, and Emily appeared, standing in Harper's living room, her face cold, her hands holding a knife. "No," Harper whispered, her voice breaking. She hit record, her hands shaking. Log 4, update, 4:10 a.m., Emily's in my apartment. She's Miss July, trained by the curator. They're watching everything. I don't know who to trust. Ortiz grabbed a tape from a shelf, labeled Session 92, 2023. She played it on a nearby VCR, the screen flickering to life. It showed the girl subject 92, maybe 11, sitting in this room, drawing with charcoal. A man's voice. The curator spoke. "You're the frame now, Lily. You keep the collection alive." The girl nodded, her eyes blank, and held up a drawing. A woman tied to a chair, labeled Miss July. Harper's knees buckled. Lily. That's her name. Molly's daughter, born here, raised to be like them. Ortiz's face hardened. "We're shutting this down. I'm calling in the feds." But before she could dial, the monitors flickered, and the curator's face appeared blurred, distorted, but unmistakably male, his eyes hidden behind dark glasses. His voice was smooth, chilling. "You're a beautiful subject, Harper. Emily was my masterpiece, but you'll be my legacy. Welcome to the collection." The screen went black, and a loud hiss filled the room. Gas, again, pouring from vents. Harper coughed, her vision swimming, but she saw a trapdoor under a rug, barely visible. She pointed, her voice a rasp. "There. Move." Ortiz kicked the rug aside, prying the trapdoor open. They dropped into another tunnel, narrower, colder, the air thick with mildew. They crawled, their elbows scraping concrete, until they reached a ladder leading to a hatch. Ortiz climbed, shoving it open, and they spilled into the backyard, the night air a shock at 65 degrees Fahrenheit. Cop cars surrounded the house, lights flashing, radios crackling. Harper collapsed in the grass, her chest heaving. She pulled out the journal, flipping to a page she'd missed. Subject 47, Emily Quinn, 2005. Recruited for Project July. Trained to frame others. Loyal to the curator. A photo was taped inside Emily, older, standing beside the curator, his face blurred, her eyes dead. Harper's tears fell, smudging the ink. "You were my sister," she whispered. "What did they do to you?" Ortiz knelt beside her, her voice urgent. "Harper, we need to move. The feds are coming, but the curator's gone. That tunnel he escaped." Harper shook her head, her voice fierce. "I'm not done. Lily's still in there, somewhere, and Emily, I can save her." Ortiz's eyes softened, but her tone was firm. "You can't save someone who doesn't want saving. Emily's gone, Harper. She's Miss July now." Harper's jaw tightened. She stood, grabbing her bag. "Then I'll save Lily, and I'll find him." She hit record, her voice steady despite the tears. Log 5, 4:30 a.m. Emily's Miss July, part of the curator's game. "But Lily's alive, trapped in their frame. I'm going back in. I'm ending this." Ortiz grabbed her arm. "Not without me. We do this together." They re-entered the house, the cops trailing behind. The hallway was silent, the mirror dark, but Harper felt it a presence, watching. She approached the trapdoor to the basement, her flashlight sweeping the stairs. At the bottom, she saw a child's drawing, fresh, on the concrete floor. It showed a woman tied to a chair, labeled Harper. Beside it, a Polaroid photo, taken minutes ago, showed Harper and Ortiz in the backyard, unaware. Scrawled in red, "You're next." Harper's blood froze. She spun, her flashlight catching a shadow moving in the tunnel. A girl's voice, soft and eerie, echoed, "He sees you, Harper. He always does." Ortiz raised her gun, but Harper stopped her. "That's Lily. She's alive." She stepped toward the tunnel, her voice trembling but firm. "Lily, I'm here. I'm getting you out." The shadow moved again, and a small hand reached out, pale and trembling. But before Harper could grab it, a loud clank rang out, and a steel door slammed shut, sealing the tunnel. The curator's voice came through a hidden speaker, cold and final. "You can't save what's already mine, Harper. But you'll make a beautiful addition." Gas hissed again, thicker, choking. Harper pounded the door, her fists bloody, her vision fading. She hit record, her voice a desperate gasp. "Log 5, update, 4:45 a.m. Lily's here, trapped. The curator's playing his endgame. I'm not giving up, but I'm running out of time. If I don't make it, someone find her." Her legs buckled, and the world went black. The Polaroid camera's faint whir, the last sound she heard. Harper Quinn's world was a suffocating blur, her lungs screaming as the gas choked her in the sealed tunnel beneath 142 Sycamore Street. The curator's voice cold, taunting, finale-code in her ears. "You can't save what's already mine." Her fists pounded the steel door, blood smearing from her knuckles, but it didn't budge. Detective Lena Ortiz slumped beside her, her breath shallow, her Glock useless on the concrete floor. The Polaroid camera in Harper's bag whirred faintly, like a heartbeat mocking her fading pulse. Lily's voice is soft, eerie, childlike lingered from the darkness. "He sees you, Harper. He always does." Her vision dimmed, spots dancing in her eyes, but a deafening crash snapped her back. Flashlights sliced through the gas, and voices barked, sharp and urgent. "Phoenix PD, clear the area." Strong hands yanked Harper up, dragging her through the tunnel's hatch. Fresh air hit her like a slap, the desert night crisp at 65 degrees Fahrenheit. She coughed, gulping oxygen, her legs trembling as she collapsed in the backyard grass. Ortiz was pulled out beside her, gasping, her face ashen but alive. Javier Morales knelt at her side, his lab coat torn, his eyes wild. "Harp, you're okay, you're okay. Damn it, I thought we lost you." His voice cracked, his hands checking her for injuries. Harper pushed him away, her throat raw. "Lily. She's in there. Molly's daughter. I heard her." She grabbed her bag, the journal and photos spilling out, her hands shaking. "The curator's gone, but Lily's not. We have to go back." Ortiz staggered to her feet, barking at the cops swarming the yard. "Secure the tunnel, get a K9 unit down there, now." She turned to Harper, her voice low. "You're not going back in. The feds are 5 minutes out. This is their show now." "No way in hell." Harper snapped, her eyes blazing. "Lily's alive, Ortiz. I'm not leaving her to that bastard." She pulled out the journal, flipping to the page about Subject 92 Lily, born in frame, 2014. "She's Molly Donovan's kid, raised in this nightmare. I'm getting her out." Javier grabbed her shoulder. "Harp, you're half dead. Let the cops handle it." Harper shook him off, her jaw tight. "They buried this case in 73. I'm not trusting anyone until Lily's safe." She hit record on her recorder, her voice steady despite the pain. "Lofim, update, fire, Haltred's the 16th of June, 2025. We're out, but Lily's still in the tunnel. Emily's missed July, working for the curator. He's gone, but he's not done. I'm going back for her." Ortiz sighed, holstering her Glock. "Fine, but you stay behind me, and you follow my lead. No hero bullshit." Harper nodded, grabbing her flashlight and crowbar. The cops parted, their radios crackling as they formed a perimeter around the house. The night was still, the Phoenix skyline glowing faintly in the distance, the temperature steady at 65 degrees Fahrenheit. Sycamore Street felt like a graveyard, the house a dark monument to secrets. They re-entered through the broken window, the cold air inside hitting like a fist, dropping to 55 degrees Fahrenheit. The hallway was silent, the shattered mirror reflecting slivers of flashlight beams. Harper's sneakers squeaked on the linoleum as she followed Ortiz to the tunnel's hatch. The steel door was ajar now, forced open by the cops. A K-9 unit, a German shepherd named Rex, sniffed the entrance, growling low. Ortiz led the way, her flashlight cutting through the damp, mildew-choked tunnel. Harper's heart pounded, her eyes scanning for any sign of Lily. The walls were lined with scratches, childlike drawings of cameras, chairs, and a tall man with no face. One sketch, fresh in charcoal, showed a woman tied to a chair, labeled Harper. Her stomach churned. Lily had drawn her, trapped in the curator's frame. The tunnel opened into a second basement, smaller, maybe 15 by 15 feet, lit by a flickering red bulb. Shelves lined the walls, packed with more film canisters, tapes, and a monitor showing a live feed of the house's hallway empty, but the mirror flickered like it was watching them. A mattress lay in the corner, covered with a tattered blanket. Beside it, a plastic tub held clothes small, child-sized, stained with dirt and time. Ortiz's voice was a whisper. Someone's been living here, recently. Harper approached the mattress, her flashlight shaking. Under the blanket was a notebook, its pages filled with drawings, a girl in a dress, a woman tied to a chair, a man with a camera. Each was labeled in a child's scrawl. Mama cries too loud. I hide in the wall. He says I'm the camera now. Harper's throat tightened. Lily, she whispered. Where are you? A faint scrape came from behind a shelf. Ortiz spun, her gun raised. Show yourself, Phoenix PD. Harper pushed past her, her voice soft. Lily, it's me, Harper. I'm here to help. You don't have to hide. The scrape came again, and a small hand emerged from behind the shelf, pale and trembling. A girl, maybe 11, stepped out, her eyes wide, her hair matted. She wore a faded blue dress, too big for her, with daisy buttons. Molly's dress, from the 1,973 police reports. Her face was Molly's, but younger, softer, with eyes that held too much pain. Lily, Harper breathed, kneeling. You're safe now. Lily's voice was a whisper, barely audible. He said, I'm the frame. I can't leave. Ortiz lowered her gun, her eyes softening. You're leaving with us, kid. He's gone. But Lily shook her head, her eyes darting to the monitor. He's always here, in the pictures. She pointed to a Polaroid taped to the shelf, showing Harper in the hallway, taken an hour ago. Scrawled in red, the frame is forever. Harper's blood froze. She grabbed Lily's hand, her voice firm. We're getting you out, now. She pulled the girl toward the tunnel, Ortiz leading the way. But as they climbed the ladder, a loud clank echoed, and the hatch slammed shut above them, sealing them in. The monitor flickered, and the curator's voice filled the room, smooth and chilling. You can't steal from my collection, Harper. Lily's mine, just like Emily. Harper's heart stopped. She pounded the hatch, her fists bloody. Let us out, you bastard. Ortiz fired at the hatch, the gunshot deafening, but the steel held. Lily clung to Harper, her voice trembling. He sees us. Through the cameras. He always sees. Harper's eyes darted to the monitor, now showing a live feed of the tunneler. Ortiz, Lily, trapped. The camera zoomed in, catching Lily's terrified face, then panned to a shadow moving behind them, tall and faceless. Harper spun, her flashlight sweeping the tunnel, but it was empty. Her phone buzzed, a new video loading, them, right now, filmed from above. The child's voice sang, he sees you, he knows you, he keeps you in the frame. Huh. Ortiz's voice was sharp. We're being watched. There's a camera here, somewhere. She shot at the ceiling, sparks flying, but the feed didn't cut. Harper grabbed the notebook, flipping to a drawing of a trapdoor under a rug. Lily, is there another way out? Lily nodded, pointing to a corner. Under there, he doesn't know. Harper kicked aside a rug, revealing a hidden trapdoor, barely 2 feet wide. Ortiz pried it open with her crowbar, and they dropped into a narrower tunnel, damp and claustrophobic, spiderwebs clinging to their faces. They crawled, Lily between them, her breaths fast and panicked. The tunnel stretched 50 feet, ending in a rusty grate opening to an alley 2 blocks from Sycamore. They pushed through, collapsing in the dirt, the night air a shock at 60 degrees Fahrenheit. Harper held Lily close, her heart pounding. "You're safe now. I've got you." But Lily's eyes were fixed on the house, wide with fear. "He's coming back," she whispered. "He always does." Ortiz radioed for backup, her voice urgent. "This is Ortiz. We've got a minor, extracted from 142 Sycamore. Suspect at large. Send medics. Now." Harper hit record, her voice steady despite the fear. Log 6, 5:15 a.m. "We found Lily, Molly Donovan's daughter, born in captivity. The curator's gone, but he's watching. Emily's missed July, part of his network. This isn't over. I'm taking this public." By noon, Harper sat in a hospital waiting room, the antiseptic smell sharp in her nose. Lily was in a room down the hall, wrapped in a thermal blanket, a social worker at her side. The girl hadn't spoken much, only drawn a picture of a woman reaching through a window, labeled found. Harper's chest tightened. Lily was safe, but the curator was still out there, and Emily was lost to his machine. Ortiz joined her, her face grim. "Feds raided 142 Sycamore. Found 3 hidden rooms, cameras, journals, a whole damn studio. Chains on the floor, bloodstains sold, maybe decades. They're testing DNA, but it's a slaughterhouse down there." Harper's stomach churned. "Lily? She's stable, malnourished, traumatized, but alive. DNA confirms she's Molly Donovan's kid, born in that house, raised in the walls." Ortiz paused, her eyes soft. "You did good, Harper. You saved her." "It's not enough," Harper said, her voice breaking. "Emily's still out there, part of this collection, and the curator's free." Javier arrived, a coffee cup in hand, his eyes tired. "I ran the journal's prints, no matches, but the papers got traces of silver nitrate photochemicals, same as the tape." "And that video from the tunnel?" "It was streamed live to a server in Tucson. Someone's still running this show." Harper's jaw tightened. She pulled out her phone, opening an email she'd received an hour ago. "No Cinder, Tucson, 319 Cactus Way. Finish the frame." Attached was a photo of a house, boarded up, with a faint handprint on the window. Her blood ran cold. "Another collection point." Ortiz leaned over, her eyes narrowing. "That's our next move." "But Harper, you're not a cop. You go in, you're risking everything." "I've got nothing left to lose," Harper said, her voice fierce. She stood, grabbing her bag. "I'm ending this. For Lily, for Emily, for all of them." That night, Harper uploaded her podcast, The Hollow Frame, from a burner laptop in a motel off Interstate 10. The episode, titled The Collection, laid it all bare. The Donovan case, the archivists, Lily's rescue, Emily's betrayal. She included the audio from the tunnel, Lily's whisper, and the curator's taunt, redacting names to protect the girl. The podcast hit 10,000 downloads in hours, forums lighting up with theories. One comment, from Shuttered Eyes 73, chilled her. "You saw her, but not him." Tucson, check the cellar. One last frame. Harper drove to Tucson the next morning, the 17th of June, 2025, her Jeep humming along the desert highway, the temperature climbing to 98 degrees Fahrenheit. 319 Cactus Way was a rundown bungalow, its windows boarded, its yard a sea of sand. She parked a block away, her bag packed with the Polaroid camera, flashlight, and crowbar. Ortiz had promised to meet her, but Harper wasn't waiting. The curator was close, and she could feel it. She slipped through a side gate, the wood splintered, and pried open a basement window, the glass cracking under her crowbar. Inside, the air was cold, 50 degrees Fahrenheit, reeking of chemicals and decay. Her flashlight swept a concrete cellar, shelves lined with film canisters, a chair in the center, a tripod with a camera. A notebook lay open, its pages filled with drawings Lily's style, but newer. One showed a woman in a gray dress, labeled Miss July, smiling in a field. Another showed Harper, tied to a chair, labeled The Final Frame. Her heart stopped. She hit record, her voice low. Log 7, 8 p.m., the 17th of June, 2025. I'm in Tucson, 319 Cactus Way. Found another collection point. Lily's drawings, but she's not here. The curator's planning something. I'm his next subject. A thump echoed above, and the camera whirred, spitting out a photo. Harper grabbed it, her hands shaking. It showed her, standing in the cellar, taken seconds ago. A shadow loomed behind her, tall, faceless, holding a knife. She spun, her flashlight sweeping the room, but it was empty. The notebook's last page fell open, revealing a note in Emily's handwriting. Harper, you were always the frame. Finish it. The cellar door slammed shut, and the curator's voice filled the room, cold and final. Welcome to the end, Harper. Your sister chose her place. Now, you choose yours. Sue. Harper's scream echoed as the lights went out, the camera's whir, the last sound in the dark.